A man suffered a serious heart attack while shopping in a store. The store clerk called 911 when she saw him collapse to the floor. The paramedics rushed the man to the nearest hospital, where he had emergency open-heart bypass surgery. He awakened from the surgery to find himself in the care of nuns at the Catholic hospital. A nun was seated next to his bed holding a clipboard loaded with several forms and a pen. She asked him how he was going to pay for his treatment. "Do you have health insurance?" she asked. He replied in a raspy voice, "No health insurance." The nun asked, "Do you have money in the bank?" He replied, "No money in the bank." "Do you have a relative who could help you with the payments?" asked the irritated nun. He said, "I only have a spinster sister and she is a nun." The nun became agitated and announced loudly, "Nuns are not spinsters. Nuns are married to God." The patient replied, "Perfect. Send the bill to my brother-in-law." Two bored male casino dealers are waiting at the craps table. A very attractive blonde woman arrives and bets $20,000 on a single roll of the dice. She says, "I hope you don't mind, but I feel much luckier when I'm completely nude." With that, she strips down, rolls the dice, and yells, "Come on, baby! Mama needs new clothes!" As the dice come to a stop, she jumps up and down and squeals, "Yes, yes! I won! I won!" She hugs each of the dealers, picks up her winnings and her clothes, and quickly departs. The dealers stare at each other dumbfounded. Finally, one of them asks, "What did she roll?" The other answers, "I don't know. I thought you were watching." A man walks into a bar and orders a whiskey. When the barman serves it up, he takes it out to the bench in front of the bar to drink it. As he's enjoying his drink, a nun walks by and glares at him sourly. "How can you pollute your soul with the devil's drink like that?" she asks. The man shrugs. "It's not the devil, it's just whiskey." "But it's sinful and wicked." "How do you know it's so bad then? Have you ever tasted whiskey?" "Of course not. My sisters and Mother Superior told me how evil drink is." "But how do they know? Have they ever had a drink?" They go back and forth like this for a while before, at last, the nun relents. "Well, I suppose that if I were to try a sip of whiskey, I would better understand how it corrupts the soul. But it wouldn't do for any of my sisters to come by here and see me drinking. Could you order me one in a teacup?" The man agrees this is fair and walks inside to the barman. "2 whiskeys, but put one in a teacup, please." The barman slams his hand down on the bar and shouts, "Is that damn nun here again?" An attorney arrived home late, after a very tough day trying to get a stay of execution. His last-minute plea for clemency to the governor had failed and he was feeling worn out and depressed. As soon as he walked through the door at home, his wife started on him about, "What time of night is this to be getting home? Where have you been? Dinner is cold and I'm not reheating it." And on and on and on. Too shattered to play his usual role in this familiar ritual, he poured himself a shot of whiskey and headed off for a long, hot soak in the tub, pursued by the predictable sarcastic remarks as he dragged himself up the stairs. While he was in the bath, the phone rang. The wife answered and was told that her husband's client, James Wright, had been granted a stay of execution after all. Wright would not be hanged tonight. Finally realizing what a terrible day he must have had, she decided to go upstairs and give him the good news. As she opened the bathroom door, she was greeted by the sight of her husband, bent over naked, drying his legs and feet. "They're not hanging Wright tonight," she said. He whirled around and screamed, "For the love of God, woman! Don't you ever stop!" A truck driver was transporting 100 penguins from Melbourne to Perth when he broke down in the middle of the desert. A mechanic takes a look and tells the truckie that the repair will take at least 2 days. He knows that the penguins won't survive in the heat for that long, so he flags down a passing truck and offers the driver $5,000 to take the penguins to the Perth Zoo for him. A few days later, the repairs are done, and the truckie finally pulls into Perth. He is shocked to see the truck driver walking down the street with all of the penguins walking behind him. He jumps out of his truck and yells, "Hey, mate, what are you doing? I paid you $5,000 to take these penguins to the zoo." The truckie replies, "I did take them to the zoo, but I had some money left over, so now I'm taking them to see a movie." Three friends, a turtle, a mole, and a bear are drafted and have to join the army, but neither of them wants to go, so they need to provide medical proof of why they can't join. "It's easy for me," says the turtle. "I am slow." He enters the examination room, and when he comes out, he happily tells his friend that he is in fact too slow. "Well," says the mole next, "I am literally blind. How would they want me?" And he's right. He comes out a few minutes later and hugs his friends because he doesn't have to join the army because they don't need a blind mole. "Okay, guys," says the terrified bear, "let's face it. I am one of the biggest and most dangerous animals. I am the perfect soldier." "I have an idea," says the turtle slowly. "The most dangerous part of you is your teeth. Without your teeth, you are not really dangerous. So if we just smash your teeth, they won't want you." Reluctantly, the bear agrees, and the three friends start smashing the bear's teeth. Without teeth, the bear enters the examination room and after 10 minutes comes out again with a hanging head and sad face. "So, you have to join the army?" the turtle asks carefully. The bear mumbles, "No, I'm too fat." After retirement, an army colonel married a young 25-year-old woman. Now he was spending less time with his friends. His concerned friends inquired if there was a problem. "I'm eager to pass time with you all, but my young wife gets lonely when I'm away." His friends advised him, "Keep a young tenant at home. Your wife will be happy in the company of a younger person." The colonel promptly acted on their advice and leased a room in his big house to a young tenant. Now the friends were meeting more often. One day the friends jokingly asked, "How is your wife now?" The colonel replied, "She is not lonely at all. She is very happy. In fact, she is pregnant." The friends laughed as they expected this. "And how is the tenant?" they asked. The colonel replied very soberly, "She is fine and pregnant, too." A grandmother was surprised when she woke up to a cup of coffee from her 8-year-old grandson. She gulped down the most bitter coffee she has ever tasted, but she downed it all because she wanted her grandson to feel like he made something his grandma loved. At the bottom of the cup, she found 3 little green army men. Puzzled, she asked, "Honey, what are these toys doing in my coffee?" The boy replied, "I'm just doing what it says on the TV, Grandma. The best part of waking up is soldiers in your cup." A woman wakes during the night to find that her husband is not in bed. She puts on her robe and goes downstairs to look for him. She finds him sitting at the kitchen table with a hot cup of coffee in front of him. He appears to be in deep thought, just staring at the wall. She watches as he wipes a tear from his eye and takes a sip of his coffee. "What's the matter, dear?" she whispers as she steps into the room. "Why are you down here at this time of night?" The husband looks up from his coffee. "It's the 20th anniversary of the day we met." She can't believe he has remembered and starts to tear up. The husband continues, "Do you remember 20 years ago when we started dating? I was 18 and you were only 16, he says solemnly. Once again, the wife is touched to tears. "Yes, I do," she replies. The husband pauses. The words were not coming easily. "Do you remember when your father caught us in the back seat of my car?" "Yes, I remember," said the wife, lowering herself into the chair beside him. The husband continued, "Do you remember when he shoved the shotgun in my face and said, 'Either you marry my daughter or I will send you to jail for 20 years?' "I remember that too," she replied softly. He wiped another tear from his cheek and said, I would have gotten out today. A man has been drinking all day at a local bar and checks his watch. 1:30 a.m., rats. I need to go home now or my wife's going to kill me, he thinks to himself. But as he's trying to get up, he falls awkwardly on the floor. I'm just way too drunk right now. I need to sober up. So he asks the bartender for a coffee. He drinks it up, and 30 minutes later, he tries to stand up. But again he falls to the floor, this time even harder. At this point, he realizes he needs to get home no matter what, so he starts crawling towards his house. After 40 minutes, he gets there, lies down next to his sleeping wife and passes out. The next morning, his wife wakes him up and starts shouting at him, So, how was last night, huh? Was it fun drinking all day? The man is certain his wife was asleep when he got home, so he tries to play it cool. Not really, just hanging with some co-workers. We didn't drink much, just a couple of beers. His wife starts nodding sarcastically and responds, The bar owner called this morning. You left your wheelchair there. Last week, a group of Hell's Angels bikers were riding along when they saw a girl about to jump off a railway bridge. They stopped. Blaze Wilder, the top biker, was a big, burly man of 53. He gets off his Harley, walks through a group of gawkers, past the police, and says, Hey, baby, what you doing up there on that there railing? She says, I'm going to commit suicide. Blaze says, Well, before you jump, honey babe, how about you give old Blaze here your best goodbye kiss? Without hesitation, she leaned back over the rail and did just that. And it was a long, deep, lingering kiss, plus a few more really wet ones. Blaze gets cheers of approval from his biker buddies, onlookers, and even the police. Wow, that was the best kiss I have ever had, honey. That's a real talent you got there, Sugar Shorts. You could be famous if you rode with me. Why the hell are you committing suicide? My parents don't like me dressing up like a girl. A television crew comes to the farm to do an interview with the shepherd about his daily routine. Our viewers would like to know what a regular day here in the countryside looks like. Can you start right from the beginning? Asks the reporter. Oh yeah, sure, starts the shepherd. So first I wake up, but I really don't wanna, so I take a sip of my brandy to start off my day. Then I have to go out to release the sheep. I'm still quite sleepy, so I take 2 sips to make me go outside and 1 more to have energy to open the gate. Out in the field, I usually meet my pal, and we drink 2 whole bottles of brandy together, and then... Oh, I'm sorry, interrupts the reporter. We cannot really air that. Children are watching, and we don't want to make a bad impression. How about every time you drink, you say you read a book instead? Yeah, that makes sense, says the shepherd and starts over. Well, the first thing in the morning I wake up and read a page of my book. Then I go outside and read 2 more pages plus 1 more while opening the gate for the sheep. While out in the field, I usually meet my buddy, and we read 2 books together. Then we return home while reading page after page and lock the sheep in the barn. Finally, at the end of the day, we go to town where my friend has a library and we read till the morning. 2 old married couples are driving to dinner. The 2 old wives are sitting in the back seat, and the 2 old husbands are sitting in the front seat. 2 old married couples are driving to dinner. The 2 old wives are sitting in the back seat, and the 2 old husbands are sitting in the front seat. Where are we going for dinner? Frank asks Harry. I forget, Harry says. It's, what's the name of the flower, the red one? A carnation? Frank guesses. No, Harry says. The one with thorns. Oh, a rose, Frank says. Yes, that's it, Harry says. Then he looks over his shoulder at his wife in the back seat. Rose, what's the name of the place we're going for dinner? A Native American chief had 3 wives, each of whom was pregnant. The first gave birth to a boy. The chief was so elated that he built her a teepee made of deer hide. A few days later, the second gave birth, also to a boy. The chief was very happy. He built her a teepee made of antelope hide. The third wife gave birth a few days later, but the chief kept the details a secret. He built this one a 2-story teepee made out of a hippopotamus hide. The chief then challenged the tribe to guess what had occurred. Many tried unsuccessfully. Finally, one brave young man declared that the third wife had given birth to twin boys. "Correct," said the chief. "How did you figure it out?" The warrior answered, "It's elementary. The value of the squaw of the hippopotamus is equal to the sons of the squaws of the other 2 hides." A man went to the doctor. He said, "Doc, you gotta check my leg. Something's wrong. Just put your ear up to my thigh, you'll hear it." The doctor cautiously placed his ear to the man's thigh, only to hear, "Give me $20. I really need $20. "I've never seen or heard anything like this before. How long has this been going on?" the doctor asked. "That's nothing, Doc. Put your ear to my knee." The doctor put his ear to the man's knee and heard it say, "Man, I really need $10. Just lend me $10. "Sir, I really don't know what to tell you. I've never seen anything like this." The doctor was dumbfounded. "Wait, Doc, that's not it. There's more. Just put your ear up to my ankle," the man urged him. The doctor did as the man said and was blown away to hear his ankle plead, "Please, I just need $5. Lend me $5, please, if you can." "I have no idea what to tell you," the doctor said. "There's nothing about it in my books," he said as he frantically searched all his medical reference books. "I can make a well-educated guess, though. Based on life and all my previous experience, I can tell you that your leg appears to be broke in 3 places. While in China, an American single man acts promiscuous and does not use protection the entire time he is there. A week after arriving back home in the States, he wakes one morning to find his swimsuit area covered with bright green and purple spots. Horrified, he immediately goes to see a doctor. The doctor, never having seen anything like this before, orders some tests and tells the man to return in 2 days for the results. After 2 days, the doctor tells him, "I've got bad news for you. You have contracted Mongolian VD. It's very rare and almost unheard of here in the U.S. We know very little about it." The man, perplexed, asks, "Well, can't you give me a shot or something to fix me up, Doc?" The doctor answers, "I'm sorry, there's no known cure. We are going to have to amputate." "Wait, what?" the man screams in horror. "Absolutely not! I want a second opinion." The doctor replies, "Well, it's your choice. Go ahead, if you want, but surgery is your only option." The man shops around, going to many doctors and experts, but they all tell him the same: they must remove the organ. At some point, a friend tells him, "You contracted this in China, right? Then why not go to a Chinese doctor?" The man, having not thought of that, seeks out a Chinese doctor in the hopes he'll know more about the disease. The Chinese doctor examines the problematic area and proclaims, yes, Mongolian VD, very rare disease." The guy says to the doctor, Yeah, I already know that, but what can we do? My American doctor wants to cut off my organ." The Chinese doctor shakes his head and laughs. "Stupid American doctors. Always want operate, make more money that way, no need to amputate." "Oh, thank God," the man exclaims. Yes, says the Chinese doctor. "Wait 2 weeks, fall off by itself." There are 2 identical twin brothers that live together. One happens to be a well-respected dentist, and the other can't seem to keep a job. Instead of actively looking for work, he likes to sit around at home. One Saturday, the dentist is hungry and puts his brother on the spot. He tells him to get off his lazy behind and go get them some food. After some protest, the lazy brother takes the car and leaves for the store. In the meantime, the dentist takes a nap on his day off. He turns off his phone so he won't be interrupted. About 30 minutes later, the lazy brother gets into a head-on collision in the intersection by the grocery store. His vital signs are fading. He's unconscious and barely moving. An ambulance picks him up and rushes him to the hospital. He ends up in the emergency room under observation, but his condition is critical. They try calling his dentist brother, but he doesn't pick up because his phone is off. The dentist wakes to a knock on the door. Suspecting a solicitor, he ignores it, but the knocking continues. Eventually, he resolves to get up and yell at the person at the door. When he does, he reveals the Grim Reaper. He is just as he appears in movies, a full skeleton underneath a tattered cloak. The Grim Reaper swears, "Oh no, this always happens with identical twins." "What do you mean?" asks the dentist. "Well, if you must know, your brother was in a critical car accident, and I've come to take him to the underworld. I'm afraid his time on Earth has ended. I'll take my leave now." The dentist is noticeably upset. He says, "Wait, isn't there some way I can challenge you for my brother's life? After all, you made the mistake. Certainly there must be a way I can bargain for his life." The Grim Reaper asks, "What do you have in mind?" The dentist thinks, "How about a challenge? If I beat you, you let my brother go free." The Grim Reaper laughs. "I will beat you in any challenge. What challenge do you propose?" The dentist smiles. "I propose we see who has the cleanest teeth. 5 minutes of brushing each, then we decide." "Very well," says the Grim Reaper, who makes his way to the bathroom. Once there, he pulls back his tattered cloak to reveal his skull. It's glistening. He takes a toothbrush from the bathroom, loads it with toothpaste, and brushes. After 5 minutes, the shiniest teeth anyone has ever seen glisten and make the room bright. The Grim Reaper grins. "You are foolish human, but you are entitled to your chance." The dentist takes another toothbrush, loads it with toothpaste, and starts brushing like a madman. When his 5 minutes are up, he spits out the paste. He smiles. It's unbelievable. The shine from the dentist's teeth is so beautiful that he can see the Grim Reaper's reflection in his perfectly clean teeth. The winner is obvious. The Grim Reaper hangs his head in shame. "You win, human. This time, your brother will live." He disappears in a puff of smoke. At the same instant, the bed-ridden brother wakes up in the hospital. Not only is he uninjured, he seems perfectly healthy. Suddenly, the phone by his bed rings. It's his brother, the dentist. He picks up. "Hey, bro, you'll never believe what happened. Apparently, I went out to the market and got hit by a car. They say I almost died." The dentist smiles on the phone and says, "That's interesting, bro. Today you might say that I also had a brush with death." A general visits an army hospital to check on the conditions and inspire the troops. It's WWWI trench warfare is living hell, and the men could really use some inspiration. The general starts talking to the wounded soldiers. He goes up to the first man and says, "What brings you in here, son?" The soldier replies, "Sir, I got dysentery in the trenches, something awful." The general asks him, "How are they caring for you in here?" And the soldier replies, "Well, sir, every day the nurses put a cool cloth on my head and they clean my behind with a soft brush." The general asks, "Is there anything else we can do for you?" And the soldier says, "No, sir, the nurses are doing the best they can." The general seems satisfied, thanks him for his service, and moves on to the next man. The general approaches the second man's bed and asks, "What brings you in here, son?" The soldier replies, somewhat embarrassed, "Sir, I got gonorrhea from a woman while I was on leave." The general laughs and says, "It happens to the best of us, son. How are they caring for you in here?" And the soldier replies, "Well, sir, every day the nurses put a cool cloth on my head and they clean my privates with a soft brush." The general asks, "Is there anything else we can do for you?" And the soldier says, "No, sir, the nurses are doing the best they can." The general once again seems satisfied, thanks him for his service, and moves on to the next man. The general approaches the third man's bed and asks, "What brings you in here, son?" The soldier tells him, "Sir, I got strep throat in the trenches." The general asks, "How are they caring for you in here?" And the soldier replies, "Well, sir, every day the nurses put a cool cloth on my head and they clean my throat with a soft brush." The general asks, "Is there anything else we can do for you?" "Actually, sir, there is one thing," said the soldier. "I'd like to be the first one to use the brush." A newly married Texan couple is in bed for the first time. The girl, who is a reserved Christian, goes, "What is that thing?" "That's my rope." The husband replies proudly, "And what's beneath that?" "Those are my knots." And then they go on to make love, during which the girl screams, "Loosen the knot, I need more rope." A Swede, an Irishman, a Scotsman, and their wives went to play golf one day. They were about to tee off on the first hole. The Swede's wife steps up to the tee, and as she bends over to place her ball, a gust of wind blows her skirt up and reveals her lack of underwear. "Good grief, woman, why aren't you wearing any skivvies?" Ole demanded. "Well, you don't give me enough housekeeping money to afford any." The Swede immediately reaches into his pocket and says, "For the sake of decency, here's a 50. Go and buy yourself some underwear." Next, the Irishman's wife bends over to set her ball on the tee. Her skirt also blows up to show that she, too, is wearing no undies. "You woman of mine, you've no knickers on?" "Why not?" asked Patrick. She replies, "I can't afford any on the money you give me." Patrick reaches into his pocket and says, "For the sake of decency, here's a 20. Go and buy yourself some underwear." Lastly, the Scotsman's wife bends over. The wind also takes her skirt over her head to reveal that she, too, is naked under it. "For Jake's sake, Aggie! Where the friggin' hell are your drawers?" Duncan inquired. She, too, explains, "You didn't give me enough money to be able to afford any." The Scotsman reaches into his pocket and says, "Well, for the love of decency, here's a comb. Tidy yourself up a bit." Dave and Jim were a couple of drinking buddies who worked as aircraft mechanics in Melbourne, Australia. One day the airport was fogged in and they were stuck in the hangar with nothing to do. Dave said, "Man, I wish we had something to drink." Jim says, "Me too. You know, I've heard you can drink jet fuel and get a buzz. You want to try it?" So they pour themselves a couple of glasses of high-octane booze and get completely smashed. The next morning, Dave wakes up and is surprised at how good he feels. In fact, he feels great. No hangover, no bad side effects, nothing. Then the phone rings. It's Jim. Jim says, "Hey, how do you feel this morning?" Dave says, "I feel great. How about you?" Jim says, "I feel great too. You don't have a hangover?" Dave says, "No, that jet fuel is great stuff." "No hangover, nothing. We ought to do this more often." "Yeah, well, there's just one thing." "What's that? Have you farted yet?" "No." "Well, don't, 'cause I'm in New Zealand." The morning after their wedding night, the husband turned to his new bride and asked sweetly, "Hey, I hope last night didn't hurt too much." She smiled playfully and said, "Pain? I'm not so sure about that." Then she chuckled and added, But let's just say yours isn't exactly the biggest I've seen." My friend's finger was bigger than that. A man is out drinking with his friend and he gets quite drunk and vomits down the front of his shirt. He exclaims, "Oh no, my wife will divorce me for sure." His friend asks why. He says, "She's been on at me for my drinking and she told me if I come home drunk once more, she will divorce me." His friend thinks for a moment and then says, "I have an idea. Put $20 in your breast pocket, and if she asks where the vomit came from, say a random man vomited on you and was terribly sorry, so he gave you the $20 to pay for the dry cleaning." The man thought this was a brilliant idea and cleaned himself up a little before he headed home. When he got home, his wife was waiting for him, and as soon as he had fumbled his way into the house, she shouted, "That's it! You're drunk! I am leaving!" He said, "No, my dear, you misunderstand. Some man vomited on me." He pulls the $20 from his breast pocket and says, "He was terribly embarrassed, so he gave me this $20 to pay for the dry cleaning." She seemed mollified and then asked, "What is the other $20 for?" To which he replied, "Oh, that is from the man that shat in my pants."